Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how you can clear the GD round of any company in placements. So what happens in placements is that a lot of companies conduct GD rounds, group discussion rounds, and while these are not as difficult as a technical interview or an aptitude test, it's still a lot of people get rejected in these rounds. So I'm going to show you how you can clear the GD round, the group discussion round in just 4 steps. So let's get into it. So the first step is knowledge. So obviously you cannot take part in any discussion or group discussion if you don't have a knowledge of what is being discussed. So you need to have some knowledge so you're able to speak in that discussion. So for that what you can do is you can look up the previous topics of the GD that has been conducted by the company before, or you can take a look at the current affairs. Okay. So if you read some topics and just take a look at the topics which are in current affair, then you'll have enough knowledge that you'll be able to speak in the discussion. So for knowledge, just read some topics that already has been conducted by the company in the past, or look up some topics in current affairs around the world. Okay, and you don't need to do this too far in advance. You don't need to make it too much of a work. Just a couple of days or one day before the GD, you can take a look at the topics and gain the necessary knowledge. So once you've gained appropriate knowledge of the relevant topics, then let's go ahead and see what you should do in the GD. So the first thing is opening the GD. So when the group discussion starts, then there's someone who speaks first, right? That person opens the GD. Now there's a misconception that no matter what happens, if you open the GD, then you're gonna get selected, and it's not like that. Obviously, if you speak confidently, if you have appropriate knowledge and you open the GD, you're gonna get some extra points for that. But if you're not confident or if you don't have enough knowledge, then you open the GD, it's gonna form a wrong impression. So my suggestion to you is only open the GD if you're confident of yourself and the knowledge of your topic. If you're not confident, then do not open the GD. I'll repeat that. Only open the GD if you're confident of yourself and the topic. Okay? Now, if you're actually going ahead and opening the GD, how should you do it? So 2 steps. Introduce and direct. So first, introduce the topic. Whatever topic is given to you, say a couple of lines about that, put forward a couple of points, and direct, as in give a direction to the GD. Say things like these are the topics these are the points that we can discuss on. Okay, so give a direction to the GD. Okay, once the GD has started, then the next thing that you should do is listen. So why do I even have this as a point? Don't we all listen? Well, no. In group discussion, what happens is a lot of people do not listen to the points of others, and they have it in their mind that I need to speak. They're in a rush to speak and they do not actually listen to what others are saying, and that puts you at a disadvantage. So you should listen and pay attention to what others are saying. So if you pay attention to what others are saying, you'll get some extra points. So even if you don't have a knowledge on the topic, you'll get knowledge if you pay attention to what others are saying, and you'll be able to put forward points that counteract some other points. Okay, so you need to pay attention and listen carefully to what others are saying. And one more thing is, do not interrupt anyone. I know that it becomes a fish market and not everyone gets the opportunity to speak, but you should not interrupt others. A lot of people interrupt each other when someone is already speaking. They start talking, and that again puts a wrong impression. It's rude, and you should not do that. So try not to interrupt anyone while others are saying. Say when you get the chance or when you get the opportunity, seize it, but do not interrupt others. Okay? So listen, pay attention to what others are saying. Do not interrupt when someone else is speaking. Next, and the most important part is speak. You need to speak in the group discussion, right? And you might notice I have this number 3 here. So why do I have it here? 3 is the minimum number of times that you should speak. You should at least speak up 3 times in the GD, and that statistically gives you more chance of getting selected. If you speak less than 3 times, then it's going to put you at a disadvantage. You don't need to speak all the time, but make sure that you speak at least 3 times. Now, when you do speak, make sure that you're articulate. So what does it mean? So when you're speaking, you should be fluent, your grammar should be on point, your language should be on point. You should not be using filler words like and things like that. Like you can see how I'm speaking right now, right? So you should be speaking like that. You should be fluent. Okay? You should not be using filler words. You should not be getting stuck on a certain word or in between a certain sentence. You should be fluent. And how you can do that? practice speaking with your friends or practice having mock group discussion with your friends, and that's gonna help you develop your language skills, and which is very very important while speaking. So that's how you should speak. Okay, now what you should speak is you should put forward points, obviously, and those points should be logical and rational. Okay, so when you're speaking, so the topic might get emotional, some topics might be emotional to you, but no matter what the case is, your points should be logical and rational. Your points should not be emotional. Okay, so you should look like a smart person who has knowledge, who's able to think logically, and they're gonna select you on basis of that. So your points again should be logical and rational. These are the two keywords that you should have in your mind while you speak. Okay, again, these are some mistakes that you need to avoid while speaking, and these are don't shout. Okay, so you need to be loud, you need to be clear, but don't start shouting. I've seen a lot of people and they start shouting in group discussion, and again, it forms a really bad impression. Speak loudly, speak clearly, but of course, do not shout. And again, don't be emotional. Okay, like I said, you need to be logical, you need to be rational, but you should not get emotional. Some topics might get emotional, some topics might be something like that, but you should not be getting emotional over anyone else's point or anyone else's opinion. Okay, then this is again a mistake that a lot of people make while speaking, is you should not put on airs, meaning you should not start speaking anything. Okay, if you don't have any knowledge of the subject or the topic, like I said, first listen, pay attention, and then make up your own points. But don't just speak anything just for the sake of speaking. Whatever you're saying, make sure it makes sense. Don't try to fake anything. Okay, don't try to put on airs like you know everything while that's not the case. Only speak when you're sure of what you're going to say is actually correct and actually makes sense. If you speak a lot but none of it is making sense, then again that's just gonna reduce your chance of getting selected. Okay, so that's pretty much it. To summarize, we have first knowledge, gain the appropriate knowledge of relevant topics, look up previous topics of the GD conducted by the company, look up current affairs, read certain things. After that, opening the GD, only open if you're confident. If you're not confident, don't open it. If you do open it, introduce the topic and give a direction to the GD. Then listen, pay attention to what the others are saying, be able to counteract points and be able to put forward relevant points which are relevant to what others are saying. And don't interrupt anyone. When you're speaking, make sure you articulate, make sure to speak at least 3 times, have proper language, have proper fluency, put forward logical and rational points, don't shout, don't get emotional, and don't put on airs. And I'm telling you, it's not rocket science, it's not something too much of a task, too humongous of a task. It's very easy. Just follow these steps, be confident, and you're gonna be able to clear the GD round.